see some controls on your screen. Hopefully you see a little hand so that you can raise your hand when I ask you a question. I'm also going to put up polling questions that you're going to answer, and there's a little slot on the side where you can ask questions as you go. My name is Susan Lima. Hopefully this will go smoothly from an electronic standpoint, and let's go ahead and get started. Where's my controls? Just click. I know, it wasn't working. All right, so basically our session is going to be pretty straightforward today. We're going to have the presentation. Every once in a while, I'm going to do a knowledge check just to make sure that you're still awake out there. And throughout this presentation, feel free to go ahead and type your questions out. Attached, you will see a handout. And the handout is really for you to take down key dates and websites. This presentation is also going to be available on our website, and in the next few slides, I'll show you where you can find all of that information. All right, so DOB Now at a glance. Basically, we're broken down to 4 parts. What we're really talking about today is DOB Now Build. This is where you're going to do your electrical filings. You already are familiar with DOB Now inspections, at least I hope so. DOB Now licensing, which will be hopefully in play at the beginning of next year, and this is where you can update all of your licenses and register through DOB Now to have all of that information talk to each other. And last is DOB Now Safety. If any of you have done any types of filings with boilers, facades, that's where you would find those types of work permits. So basically through DOB Now, we're going to be able to submit our applications, make payments, schedule appointments, of course check your status of the application, but in electrical you don't have to, because the good news is that once you finish your filing, you go straight to permit, right then and there. You'll be able to print that permit right off of that website right when you're finished. And let's go ahead and tell you what else you can do. So here's some of your resources. Out on DOB Now, you're going to see a few things. Over on the left-hand side of my screen, you're going to see a section that says Frequently Asked Questions. Now, that's going to be a whole bunch of information that we've put out there, tip sheets. You're going to see process manuals. This presentation, it is not up there yet, but it will be hopefully by the beginning of next week, let's say. Again, some tip sheets and videos as well. Hopefully, you're already registered for Building News, and I'm going to stop here and take one of my polls, because I do want to ask where you did learn about this webinar. So I'm going to put that poll up. All right, so how did you hear about today's session? And you can go ahead and check your answer. All right, I'm going to give that a second. It still says collecting our responses. And I'm pretty sure this poll can't be correct, because I have 100% in one category and then 14% in another. So I'm going to say that I have 86% that heard about this through a service notice, which is great, and 14% from a friend or colleague. So thank you for sharing that with me. All right. My slideshow pulled ahead a little bit, so let me just get back to where we were. Wow, it brought me to the end of my presentation. All right, Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and get you back online. All right, so for support, this is going to be important to you, and this is one of the things that you saw on your handout. You can just jot this website down. Any type of customer service that you're going to need. So some of the forms that you've used in the past for electrical are not currently available through DOB Now. So this is who you'll contact. This is www.nyc.gov/DOB-NOW-HELP. So that's a good one for you to jot down. I'll give you a second to do that. And remember, at any time, go ahead and write up a question, and I'll periodically be looking at the questions and giving you the answers to those. All right, so when is all of this happening? DOB Now, electrical for the ED16A, so anything you normally would have filed through e-filing is going to go live on December 4th. So after December 4th, you will not be using e-filing for any of these types of permits anymore. Okay? Anything for the Electrical Advisory Board is going to continue exactly the way that you're doing it now, and that is something that we're working on. So we hope that in the beginning to middle of next year, we will also be able to bring you online for anything that goes in front of the Advisory Board. All right, so some things that we have already released, and there's been a number of them. Electrical goes live on December 4th. We've already released antenna, curb cut, construction fence, sidewalk shed, supported scaffold and signs, and those are all mandatory, so you can only file those through DOB Now. Other things that we have released are plumbing, sprinkler, and standpipe. And although you can do them on DOB Now, we don't insist you do it on DOB Now. You can still do that at our offices or through paper filings. And I know some of you just do electrical, and then there might be others of you who do multiple. So this is all good to know. All right, so basically, big rule here, December 4th, the ED16A option will be removed from e-filing. And anything that goes in front of the Electrical Advisory Board will still happen, and that should say at 280 Broadway. Anything that is already in the works, so if you have a filing already out there and you have a biz job number, again, you will continue to process this in the old way. So you will do that through e-filing or the area office if you need to. And the good news is that we are not changing any of your filing fees. So the filing fees remain $15 and $40. The one thing that will change is that you will now pay filing fees at the time of your filing through DOB Now. Any parts fees, that continues to come out of your firm account as it always has. And just give me a second. I'm just looking to see if we have any questions. Okay, no questions yet. I am going to put another poll up there. So, sorry, give me 5 seconds. What the heck is happening? Looks like we dropped out. We did. Yeah, right. Is the poll up there? Okay, so if you can go ahead and answer that poll, I see we already have 100%, but only 75% voted, so I'm going to give that a few more seconds. And you have to excuse my spelling error. That is supposed to say is going to be removed. All right, and we still have the vote out just a second. And I see some of you are involved in elevators because I see some of you said December 11th, and that is the day that our elevator release is going to go live. But yes, the date for electrical, as most of you said, is December 4th. So good job, everyone. Let me take that poll down. All right, let's do one more poll for you. Okay, so as far as filing fees go, all fees are going to be paid through DOB now. True or false? All right, well, there is a small percent of you that said false, and you are correct, because remember, filing fees are going to be paid through DOB now, and the parts fees will continue to be paid through your firm account. So great job. I'm going to take that poll down, and we will move forward. All right, so job filing numbers, something hopefully that will make your life easier. You know what? I just want to make sure that you guys can see what's on my screen. If you can see what's on my screen, can you please raise your hand? I don't think I can see. Okay, so I think that you should all be able to see my screen now. Let's talk a little bit about the job filing number. Basically, it's going to be 9 characters. It's going to start with the borough code. We've made this as easy as possible. So M for Manhattan, Q for Queens, S for Staten Island. The only thing that might come across a little confusing is with our Bs. So we've chosen B for Brooklyn and then X for Bronx. And then that's going to be followed by 9 numeric characters. So once you have your job number, if you are going to do anything like a subsequent filing or a PAA, you will have 2 numbers attached to the end of that. So S for subsequent, if you have 1 subsequent, it'll be S1, S2, S3, so on and so forth. And then for a PAA, it's going to be P1, P2, P3, and that's going to be any changes that you're going to make. We'll talk about that a little bit later, exactly what those will look like on the electrical filing. And then those numbers, characters, will be followed by your permit number, which is always going to be EL for electrical. Lastly, after hours variance, and this is an old presentation because that does not apply to you. All right. I am assuming, since you guys have been using e-filing for quite some time now, that you're all registered for e-filing. So what I really want to point out here is who needs to be registered for e-filing to do an electrical filing. Now, electrical filings need to be done by the licensed electrician. That is the only person who can fill out a filing request for electrical. Now, the property owners, we recommend that they register for e-filing because they will be attached to the filing and the permit and will receive notifications, any emails, and that's only if they are registered through e-filing. Some of you might have lived through our other releases. So for any temporary construction equipment or any of our other releases, there's a number of people who need to be registered for e-filing. And as we move through our releases and getting things up and running from a web perspective, pretty much everyone's going to be needed to register. So here's some people: property owners, filing reps, design professionals, contractors. We've released signs, so sign hangers, and you can see that there's a number of people up on that list. All right, so we do recommend that when you are using DOB now that you have Internet Explorer 9 or above. It also works very well with Google and some other apps that you might have, or other carriers that you might use. Now, you do have to make sure when you're using it that there are no pop-up blockers, and I'll show you that on the next slide. All right, so to log into DOB now, this is where you're going to go. And this is also one of the slots on the handouts that are attached to this webinar. So if you want to jot down this URL, give you a second to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and move to the next slide. This is what the login page is, what is going to look like once you've typed in that URL. There's two sides that I want to point out. And that big space in the middle is called the public portal, where anybody can access information. You don't need a logon. Now, as the licensed electrician, you're going to log in using your e-filing email and password, and then click Log In. You do not want to copy and paste or cut and paste into this cell because it often acts funky. All right, so that's where your email and password go, and then you would click Log In. If you're having trouble accessing your account, you can click on either of the below links, so can't access your account or need more help, and you will be in contact with our DOB customer service team. Once you're in, this is your choices. You can go to DOB Now Safety, which is, again, boilers and facades, or you can go to DOB Now, which is where you're going to find your electrical. And once you're in, you're going to see your own personal dashboard. So anything that you've put in from a filing perspective will be listed on your dashboard. Notice up top that the default is on My Jobs. To create a new filing, you're going to see a row of icons up top. You just click on the plus job filing button. The work permit button is not necessary in electrical because the permit is issued once you finish the process. So you don't have to do that separately. It just happens as a part of the job filing process. AHV and request LOC are not applicable for this release. And hopefully the LOC will be at some point, but AHV is not really applicable to electric at all. The second row of choices you have, My Jobs is the first, and as I said, that is going to be your default when you log into your dashboard. And the other ones are not applicable for electrical, but job number search will be. So possibly you have an owner who has a filing that is not attached to them, but they have the job number. They can do the job number search here. Okay, if you want to customize your dashboard, there's columns that you don't use, or there's columns not showing that you want to use. That little icon up top, and apparently Microsoft calls this a hamburger. I don't get it, and every time I say it, it makes me hungry, but you click on the hamburger. So that's those three lines up in the right-hand corner, and that's going to open this drop-down menu, right? Does it look like a hamburger to any of you? I just don't get it. All right, so basically you're going to get that drop down and it shows you what your possible columns are. If there's a check mark next to the name, that means that column's already showing. If there's an X, it's not. And our disclaimer here is if you do choose filing type to show, it's not going to display any information. So don't think that there's an error there or that you're not seeing something you're supposed to be seeing. All right, so for you Excel users, very easy to navigate between your pages on your jobs dashboard. Hopefully you have enough jobs in there that you're going to need this page. But at the bottom, you'll see back and forward arrows, which you can navigate through. You can also choose how many filings you want to see per page. All right, you can also filter your jobs. So if you do more than just electrical and you just want to see your electrical jobs or your sidewalk shed, and I know electrical goes into a lot of these other jobs, so you might have multiple types of jobs out there under your login. So you can click on any of those and that will filter it by that filing type. And to clear that filter, you would just click at the bottom on Clear Filter. To search for a filing, you just go ahead in the box right at the top of the job number search tab. You type in that filing number and it will bring up all filings connected to that number. So that would be filings that might be subsequent or PAAs as well as that original initial filing. To open a job, you just go ahead and click on that filing ID number, and that is listed in your job number column. And then you can view the job filing. You'll see over at the left, there's 4 general tabs, and I'm going to walk you through this when we're filling out the form in a few minutes. It looks exactly the same when you're viewing a filing as when you're filling it out. Save button. Save button is pretty important here because as you're going through this application, you want to remember to save. Each time you save, it might autofill something that is needed, or it might actually bring down other boxes which become mandatory based on the selections you've already made. So you want to make sure to periodically click on that save button. And to return to your dashboard at any time, just click on that dashboard button. It's sort of like your home button. Your job filing status is going to go straight from pre-filing to permit issued by the time that you finish this application. So applicant of record review is just automatic. As far as notifications go, you will get them periodically. One of the things that I want to point out is if you're not seeing these, that you should definitely check your spam or junk mail folders. And if you see that they're in there, you want to make sure that you make it a trusted sender in your email. All right, you can always tell where you are when you're in your filing based on which tab is highlighted in blue. And just a real general understanding of what they are, and I think they're pretty self-explanatory, is your general information tab. So anything related to you, your owner, or the property being worked on. The electrical scope of work is where you're going to find the real meat of your work. So you're going to list everything that's done in your work. We'll go through that in a little bit, and also where your fees are going to be calculated. Your documents. It's going to show you what documents are needed specifically for this filing, and that will kind of be explained a little bit further as well. And then all your statements and signatures are just in one page, so we've tried to make this as simple as possible. All right, on the right side of your general information page, you're always going to see your application highlights. Just your general data about your application, and then right below that is going to be your fees. And again, your filing fee is going to be paid when you finish doing this filing, and then your parts fees will come from your firm account. All right, so let's jump into this. We're going to create a new job by clicking on the plus job filing button. We are going to choose electrical as our filing type, and then we're going to choose submit. Okay, on the general information tab, you do have to fill in everything that has a red asterisk. You will see some things that have a red asterisk that are grayed out. Obviously, you can't put any information in there, so don't worry about that. And you do need to go ahead and fill out all of those mandatory fields in order to generate your job number. So once you've filled in all that information, you're going to make sure you hit save. Okay, so here's some of the portions that you are going to need to fill out. This is going to be the job location, the applicant information, and one of the things that is nice here is you're going to type in your email. Remember, don't cut and paste because it's not going to work properly. But once you type in that email address, it's going to come up in a drop-down menu. You're going to click on your email in that drop-down menu, and all of the fields except for license type will auto-populate. So all of those fields with a red asterisk, you do not have to fill in. That'll come in directly from your e-filing account. So you're going to fill in your email, click on the drop-down for license type, and select what license you're going to need. So this is just reiterating, do not use copy and paste. And you can use the tab key as well to move from that field, and that will also auto-populate rather than just clicking on that drop-down. Go ahead and click in owner information. If your owner is registered in e-filing, this is going to work the same way. You can type in that email address, click on it, or hit tab, and it will auto-populate with the owner's information. Authorized representative. Now, because we don't have the ability to have someone else fill out this filing, all we're asking for here is last name, first name, and relationship, but the authorized representative can only fill in that general information page. All other pages will not be accepted unless you are logged in as a licensed electrician. Okay, so you'll have the additional information. This is also going to calculate your fees. If you choose this is a build back job, then you will have no fees, filing fees that is. It also wants to know if there's been a violation issued, if it's a C of O job, and this is where you would put the associated biz number if it is connected to either a new building or something that's already been filed before DOB now was released. When you click on save here, it is going to generate your job number. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put up another poll. All right, so who can fill in the filing and attest and sign? Go ahead and all that apply? All right, I see some of you have fallen asleep on me. All right, getting a little bit better. This is why I do these polls, to make sure you're all still there. And I'm going to admit it, I am not sitting home in my pajamas. I am in the office. I hope you're laughing. All right. So as far as our poll is concerned, it is the electrician only, okay? The only place a filing rep can fill out is the general information tab, okay? The attestations and all of the rest of the filing need to be done by a licensed electrician. So thanks for playing. Let's go ahead and close that poll. All right, so we already talked about the Save button, and the next tab we're going to go to is your electrical scope of work. This is going to be, again, where your real meat of your filing is going to be, and these are the selections that you have. The first part is going to be your category of work, and then as you fill things out, you can click on any of these blue tabs, and it will expand for more areas for you to fill out within each of those categories. Again, remember that the asterisk is always going to be mandatory. If there's something there that it's asking for that doesn't really relate to what you're doing, go ahead and fill in a 0 there, all right? And that'll make more sense when I get to the next slide. The first part is going to be your category of work. Now you can see you have 4 categories. Each category is a row. You can only choose one category. So on the first row, you can choose service work, general wiring, and lighting work all together, but you can't choose general wiring and temporary light and power. Okay, so one category, but you can have multiple things in a category. So basically, once you've picked a category, your other rows will become grayed out. Now the other section, it does have an asterisk next to it, but it's only mandatory if you haven't picked out one of the other 3 categories. So on the other category, you can only pick one thing, one of those things in the drop-down. But if you're looking at what's on this slide, you're going to be excited to see that sign shop inspection and field sign inspection are now available online. You used to have to fill those out via paper. So, you know, for me, this is pretty exciting. I've had some people in my classes who do a lot of signs, and I know this is a really big deal. So if any of you out there, and I should have put this as one of my polls to see if any of you work with signs. So I hope this is good news. All right. The first category, once you've selected your where your work is and what the primary scope of your work is service switches. In the quantity column, you're going to put whatever quantity number you need, and this is where your parts fees are going to start to calculate. So based on the number you put there, it's going to calculate the cost. Under the number and size, you're going to put how many and how many watts for each of those quantities. So any description that you're going to need there that the inspector is going to want to see when they come after the job is done. Again, the conductor information, and only fill out what is necessary for that category of work that you picked. So if you go ahead and pick elevator under general wiring work, they're going to bounce you back. So make sure that it is consistent with what your first selection is under that category of work. Sorry, I was just checking to see if I had any questions. Oh, sorry. What is a build back job? Sorry, Philip. Okay, a build back job is way back from Sandy. So people who had any work that was going to be tax exempt because of damage due to the storm, I imagine we're seeing a lot less of that since it's been quite some time, but I know that there's still people who are riding on that coattail. So build it back job is anything that's tax exempt that had to do with that particular storm. Good question, thanks. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. So panels, and I think that this section is pretty self-explanatory. Elevators, escalators, and material lifts. So again, if you have electrical work that is going to be based in an elevator or setting up an elevator or putting in that general wiring, anything that you're going to have to put in here. And we are going to release elevators on December 11th. So stay tuned if you are involved in that process for any webinars and classes that we're having for elevators. Those are starting this week. next week. Holiday week, we're not doing any more this week. All right, next tab is going to be boiler controls and floor descriptions. Now, floor descriptions, you're going to look at this and say, wow, what happened to all of the other fields that were there before? What you're seeing is just some general information columns. To open and expand that entire form, you're going to click on the Add Floor Description button, okay? And then that's going to open it up so you can put the rest of your information there. You can also add additional floors by clicking on that same button, the Add Floor Description. So you can put multiple floors into this permit request, and you just keep adding them for up to, I believe, 10 floors. Service meter equipment, pretty straightforward stuff. So anything that you need to jot down here, go ahead and fill that out. And let's go ahead and talk about documents. So for every filing, every time you do a filing, you're going to need your seal and signature. The good news is that you're going to have your seal and signature document stored on your computer, and you only need to do that once a year. So relatively easy. You're going to click on that upload button on the right. We accept JPEGs and PDFs. Any other type of document is going to be rejected. Also, you can't have any special characters in the name, and this is really a Microsoft thing. Also, Microsoft doesn't accept most documents with special characters anyway. And I don't think this is going to be a problem, but no larger than 250 megabytes, and that's a pretty big file. All right, so here's a little bit about your seal and signature form. So you can get this off of the DOB website under Forms. You're going to print it, sign it, and stamp it. And again, it's good for 1 year from your signature date. And once you've done that, you're going to scan that right back into your computer and just save it there. So you've clicked the upload button. For those of you who have never sent out an attachment in Outlook, this might be confusing, but I'm pretty sure most of you have done that. So it's exactly the same. Once you clicked on that upload button, it's going to pull up your documents library. You're going to go to wherever you have this document saved, click on that document, then click on the open button, and then on the left-hand side, whoops, next slide, sorry, you're going to click on that upload button. You'll see that your document is up there. You're going to click on your upload button, and once you do that, that cancel button on the right will become an OK button. And if you upload the wrong document, then you can just click cancel. And now I see we have another question. Yes, the question is can we download that form now? Absolutely, it is out on the site, so you can get that done and be prepped and ready to go. So that, and that's the seal and signature document. Now, the other thing I do want to say about documents is based on the selections you make within the rest of your filing, other documents might become required. So that's why I talk about making sure that you save throughout the filing so that what you're going to need to upload is going to be current with the things you've already done within your form. Okay, does that make sense? Great. I asked that question like I could hear you, but the people in the room with me are shaking their heads, so I'm going to move on. Webinar humor, sorry everyone. All right, last, almost last, is going to be completing the statements and signatures pane. So, super easy. Of course, you're going to read the statements and signatures because you want to know what you're signing, but you don't actually have to sign anything. Those little boxes next to the statements, You're just going to put a little check in those boxes, and it's going to auto-populate your signature and the date that you are signing. All right, so super easy. Make sure you save. Again, save, 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 save. And now we are going to pay. We don't care who pays. It can be anybody's account. It can be anybody's credit card. So it doesn't have to match the electrician. Ways that you can pay are e-check, credit card, and debit card. And now I'm sorry to say that there is a little bit of a convenience fee. This is not us. This is the credit card site that we use. But the good news is that 2.49% on $15 is not really anything to speak of. So hopefully this isn't a deal breaker. You are on the right-hand side in your application highlights. We pointed this out a little earlier. You're going to see your fees. This filing fee is $40. We're going to click on Pay Now, and it will eventually bring us to CityPay. Now, sometimes you will see a pop-up blocker, and there is a warning right under the Pay Now button, also to make sure that your pop-up blockers are turned off. And I'll show you hopefully what it's going to look like if it does come up, and just make sure that DOB Now and the CityPay is a trusted site. All right, so this is what's going to happen. You're going to get that little swirly circle that never goes away that tells you to please wait. That most likely means you have a pop-up blocker. And you see in that upper right-hand corner, that little red X mark in a box, that's showing you have a pop-up blocker. So if you click right up there, it's going to bring down a drop-down. You'll make this a trusted site, and then it will bring you right to CityPay. All right, a message is going to appear. So basically, once you pay, you can change information in your filing, but you won't be able to change the owner information, the category of work, and whether this is a build-it-back job. Okay, so you want to make sure that those things are correct, and then you'll go ahead and click Confirm. And you're going to choose your payment details. Up top where that number 1 is, that's the tabs that's going to show you e-check or a credit card. So you're going to pick whichever one is your source of pay. Going to go ahead and enter all of your payment details, and then down at the bottom, just click Continue. It's going to show you your payment details. Just go ahead and make sure that this is correct. You're going to click in that checkbox that says, yes, you agree to the service fee, and then you're going to click on Process Payment. You'll get an email confirmation. Again, remember to check your junk mail if you're not seeing it. Make it a trusted site. It's going to come from CRM Buildings, so I think that would be pretty noticeable that it's from us. All right, so we talked a little bit about the parts fees. They're generated when you are putting in your work description. And over on the right-hand side of your screen where you're seeing your fees, you're also going to see your parts fees. And that will be calculated as you fill in the type of electrical work that you're doing. Build-it-back jobs. So good question before. Anybody who's still hanging on to Sandy work, they would just press the yes box up, is this a build-it-back job? And this fee will go to 0. We also have NYCHA, of course. So on the general information tab, there's a spot where you talk about owner type. If you chose NYCHA there, they will also require the ACRIS report. You're going to upload that. Remember, I told you that you have to save as you're going along because other things might become necessary. So for signs, you're going to need to upload a plan as well. So different things depending on the type of work that you're doing. On your payment summary tab, you'll see that your amount due becomes 0. You can also download this ACRIS report, although I'm pretty sure that any of you that were using it would have already processed this, so I'm going to even skip through this. And let's talk about the last step before you get your permit. Up on the left-hand corner, next to your Save button, you're going to click on Preview to File. It's going to open up your entire application, and you're going to be able to click through this by using that Next button up top, and you just continue to click the Next button as you read through your application. If you get an error message, okay, it's saying the following document is not uploaded, that means that basically you have missed something in your filing. And you see over on the left-hand side, that giant red asterisk on the Documents tab? Pretty hard to miss where it is that you missed your information. So you're going to go ahead and click on this OK button. And then once you click on that Documents tab, it's also going to have a big red line around any information that's missing for your required fields. Okay, once you've finished that, you go back to your application, and on the last page, you're going to click in that little checkbox saying that I've personally reviewed all of the information, and remember here that you are the electrician. A licensed electrician. You're going to click in that box. It's going to auto-populate your name and date based on who it is who's logged in. And again, that's your e-filing email address. And you're going to click on File. Guess what happens next? Woohoo! We are successful. Our submission is confirmed. We're going to go ahead and click on OK, or if we want to print our View Filing, we can click on View Filing, and on that actual filing report, you'll be able to print, and your status goes straight to Permit Issued. If you need to delete a filing, now this needs to happen before you've gone to Permit Issued. You need to be in the pre-filing stage. And what's nice about this is you can start a filing, save it, and come back to it. You don't have to complete this filing all in one step. If you need to go back and find out information from the owner, or you need to get something priced or whatever, you can always come back to the filing. And then if you decide that something went in wrong, you can go and delete it. Now from your dashboard, you log in on your Jobs tab, and you're going to find the filing that you're looking for. In the Filing Action column, you click on that drop-down next to that filing, and your choice, one of your choices will be Delete. Again, remember this is only in the pre-filing stage. To print the filing, again, you can either open that filing from where we were before and hit Print Filing, or once you're in a filing, you can choose the View Filing button, which you'll find at the top of your sheet. And then in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little printer. You click on that and go ahead and print. Whoops, that's not for you. Let's talk about printing a work permit. Same thing, you're going to go to your dashboard. You're going to find the filing that you're looking for. Again, remember this has to be in Permit Issued stage. On that drop-down under Filing Action, you're going to click on Print Work Permit. You're going to get a Confirm dialog box, choose Yes, and your permit will print. Now, hopefully you guys have seen this before. Yeah, I know you've been working with permits for years, so hopefully it looks familiar. Let's talk about a post-approval amendment. So your PAAs. You have made a mistake, but you've already gone through your Permit Issued stage. You're going to go back to your dashboard, find that filing, and on that drop-down menu in the Filing Action, you're going to choose PAA. A duplicate filing is going to be created where you can make your changes. And of course, all part fees will be recalculated and either changed, like made less or more, and eventually will be withdrawn from your firm account. If you need to do a subsequent filing, so you have filed for some general wiring, and now you need to add maybe some temporary work as well, you need to go ahead, back in, find that filing number. It has to be in permit issued. In the filing action, again, we're going to click on that drop-down menu, choose subsequent filing, and a new filing is going to be created. It's going to have the same job number, but it's going to be followed by an S1. All right? It's going to have all of the information on the general information tab, except for, nope, all of the information on the general information tab is going to be copied. And basically, you'll go through the other tabs and add whatever job you need to add. All right, so once you've gone ahead and done your subsequent filings, your PAAs, you have your permit, say you need to look up some type of information. When I first showed you when you logged into the portal, I showed you two sections. One where you were going to log in as the electrician and file your filing, and the other is the public portal. So you can go ahead in as anyone and research a property. You can look up the property by address, bin, borough, block, lot. In this case, not device, but if you're looking up another type of filing type, boilers, so on and so forth, you can also use a device number. So here you can say they're looking up 24 Clinton Road, and we were going to go ahead and click on search. It's going to bring up that property, and at the bottom of that page, you see two sections, job filings and compliance filings. We will click on the job filings tab, and it'll bring down any filings associated with this property, not just electrical, but anything that is associated with filing. All right, and I have another question. Oh, sorry, this was, oh, here, is there an additional filing fee? When you do a subsequent filing, I am sorry to say that there will be an additional fee because it is a separate permit. Okay, so there will probably just be a $15 or $40 fee. Okay, so for each subsequent filing, there will be a fee. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so back to the presentation. To view a filing, once you're in there, again, we saw this before, you're just going to go ahead and double click on that filing. And it looks pretty much like what we saw before, right? You see those 4 bars that are going to expand to show you different information. Now remember, you're not logged in now, so you're just anybody. You're not going to be able to see everything. I mean, right, we have to keep the property protected, we have to keep the electrician, any kind of plans, signatures, all of that protected. So you're only going to be able to see some information as you click through these different tabs. So in the general information tab, you'll be able to see everything about whether or not what this property looks like. You're not seeing most of those questions that they asked you when you were filling out the form, so just really the general information that is public information. Okay, I think I have another question. Can you print permit from the public portal? You cannot. You're not even going to see the permit from the public portal because, I mean, I could go in and look up your property. So you don't want me to be able to print a permit from there. So you do have to be logged in as somebody who is attached to this filing. So if you are the owner and the owner information was put into the filing and you are registered for e-filing, you can do it as the owner and you can do it as the electrician. All right, before I close up, let's see if there's any more questions. So this is your time now to go ahead and ask me any questions that you have. So. And I'm just giving everyone a second to go ahead and put any questions in that you might have. And I know that you guys have been doing this via e-filing for a long time. So what I've done is I have unmuted everyone. So if it's easier for you to just ask me a question, go ahead and do that. Again, as I was saying, it's pretty straightforward. I don't know that it's working. Let me try this again. No. All right, sorry it wasn't working, but it should be individually. I hear someone breathing, that's good. I'm glad to know you're still breathing. All right, you guys seem to have this. Again, this information will be out on our website. So basically what we have done today is really just kind of walked you through what DOB Now is going to look like. I hope you know where to go for help. You're registered for e-filing, so we're not worried about that. Where to look up information publicly, and really how to go ahead and get your filing done. Hope this was helpful, and good luck. And on December 4th, we hope to see you all filing. So have a great day. Thanks.
That it?
That's it. I know. We're early. I talk really fast.
Wow. No kidding.
Somebody said thank you and open lots of questions. Bigger.
All right. So thank you all. You're good to go.
No kidding. Well, thank you.